Good evening, everyone. We're still setting up here just a little bit. We'll get into the conversation. Maybe you're coming back home from work. Maybe you've been all day at the house. There's a lot of discussions around a lot of these topics. So sometimes I like to group them together. I know they have polar opposites, right? Oh, do they? Or do they have some relation and correlation to one another? So it's hump day. One of my favorite days, kind of know that you halfway did it, you're halfway there. All right, just setting up here. Give me a moment here, please. So we're going to get right into the discussions here, family. We're going to first start talking about abortion. Because I know that, believe it or not, Barack Obama ran on a ticket of pro-choice. Okay? Not pro-life, but pro-choice. So it kind of goes to show me, are we simply voting Democrat, or are we voting on some of the laws, legislations, and beliefs of the people that we align ourselves with? Meaning that when we essentially voted Obama into office for 2 terms in a row, were you pro-life or were you pro-choice? Now, according to the historical religious belief of Black Americans, we are traditionally Christians. You may not be Christian now, but traditionally your family were Christians. Okay, and if you read the good book, then you know that the great book is about pro-life, not pro-choice when it comes to having a baby being born. Okay, that is the historical references and religious belief that the Bible is inherently pro-life, especially when it comes to innocent babies. Now we can get into the story of what God was doing to Pharaoh. I forgot what they call it, not the 7 deadly sins. Family, I forgot about that time, but the plagues that God was given to the Pharaoh at the time. And the last time I checked, even in the Bible, babies were not protected, right? Because the shepherds were supposed to go around and mark blood on the door of either the firstborn of them being killed or being saved. I forgot. I'm probably switching those around, but you get what I'm getting at. Meaning that God killed those babies. Now, a lot of people won't even have this discussion. People are like, what the hell is he talking about? God killing babies. Family, I'm just making a connection because a lot of times people don't read their Bible, right? I read at that time in my life. I was very well astute in the Bible, right? So to me, it didn't make sense. But for me, when we're talking about abortion and what's happened with Roe versus Wade, a lot of us don't have that historical information. So I think it's important that the background of the Supreme Court back in 1973, Roe versus Wade, have constructed a lattice work of abortion laws, codifying, regulating, and limiting whether, when, and under what circumstances a person may obtain an abortion. It goes on to say the following table highlights the major provision of these state laws, but basically giving women the right to choose, right? Not that the state will prevent them from getting abortions or even the federal government, but they will be allowed at a certain time during the pregnancy to abort it, right? Because that's when we come up with all these depot shots and I forgot the ones that prevent you from having a child, those contraceptives. All of those things were created from abortion, right? Because some people believe that once an egg is fertilized and it's any percentage of an embryo, it's a life. So because you're taking your pills every month, you're killing that life. So is that a form of abortion? When you get your Depo shot, right? One of the side effects is you're gaining weight, but you're perfectly fine with that as long as you don't have a child. So what happens, it prevents that sperm from fertilizing the egg. It either makes it the sperm neutral or it kills the egg of where the sperm was trying to fertilize. It's just something to think about when you think about abortion on a very subterranean and cellular level. Like, when you really think about it, abortions have been happening in millions by taking the day after pill. Think about that, the day after pill. Right? You was with your girlfriend or a young lovely lady, and you guys had unprotected sex. Hey, which is okay. People are like, you should wrap it up. If that's what you want to do with your life, then that's what you want to do. But it's your choice, right? It's your choice if a man wants to create a life form unprotectedly with a woman he just met on the first date. It's his choice, right? Now look at it from the other side. It should be her choice, right? But again, we understand that this nation has been created on two ideologies, two ideologies that's not even the foundation of it. Two realisms of Christianity and slavery, right? That's just what the country was built on. But those within themselves, believe it or not, actually go together, just like abortion and Christianity. Now, I know I'm not trying to use the Bible as my reference, essentially, but I'm just giving you these comparisons of how we have already been practicing these things all the while. Women have been getting abortions all the while. Good evening, Jermaine Anderson. And sometimes because we don't speak in a particular way that people understand. Because here's the thing, I realize when I speak to certain people and I have these conversations, they're like, man, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I have to kind of reevaluate myself to see if I'm just babbling, right? No. I said, no, I am not speaking in a theological way for people to understand what's going to occur and which is already actually happening. It's kind of like the books, not the books I gave out the other day, but when I was talking about 1984, George Orwell, how he saw the future before everyone else did, and now we're living in the same future he spoke about in the book 1984. Because that book was written in the 1940s, but it was labeled 1984. And he was talking about what was going to start to occur, and it did. So I think about the things I say sometimes, like, people ever broke this down on a very cellular level that we've already been aborting our kids in the first place, and if they don't have legal abortion, what women and men are going to do to kill off that offspring at the risk of the woman, and that's the thing we're not thinking about. You already have local, state, and federal legislation about when and where a woman can get aborted correctly. These are the things that we have to think about. Because a lot of us just go out into the streets and protest and rally and complain about things that we may not agree with or may not didn't understand on a high level that we've already been supporting it. Yeah, baby, go ahead and get that day after pill. Yeah. Go out there and get it. That is already what we have been doing this entire time. Whether you're Christian or not, whether you're Muslim or not, don't matter your religious affiliation, but most of those religions are what? Pro-life. Because during this whole time that they came out Roe versus Wade, was due to a situation where a white woman claimed a black person, a black male, raped her, and she didn't want to have a black baby. Because before then, abortion was illegal. And of course, during that time, they had to make this law more extensive in nature for other circumstances that may arise other than rape. right? What if the baby is not stillborn, because stillborn means that the baby died, while it was being born. What if there's some complications with the pregnancy? Instead of risking the lady's life, the woman's life, can we just go ahead and take out the baby, which may die in the process, right? But long story short, that is into women having the right to have their child aborted before a certain extent scientifically of what a baby is versus an embryo or a fetus, right? Because first, however, the egg is being fertilized, and then that turns into a fetus of some sort, and then an embryo. They say, well, after, was it 6 or 9 weeks, somewhere in there, that after 6 or 9 weeks of you being pregnant, legally you cannot abort it. Now, a lot of us are not going to agree with 100% of anything of these laws or what they have already done, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice. All of us are going to have some sort of different take. But I will say this reading the law as it is today of women having pro-choice, I will agree with that, them not having the choice. Does that make sense? Like, oh, you had sex, you did a dumb thing, you're only a week in, legally we can't let your child get aborted. Now she has to live with this mistake. And some people, oh, my child not a mistake. No. If you and a man had unprotected sex and you waited, you felt queasy, you threw up or something, you took a pregnancy test, and you found out 1 or 2 weeks later that you were pregnant, and it was just a one-night stand, you made a mistake or you just had fun. But now you got to live your life with an 18-year-old child of some guy you just met. And then vice versa for the guy, because now she probably get in contact with you because now you got to raise this baby. Now, some people are like, hey, it is what it is. You made a decision, and here are the consequences. I get it, but I'm looking at it from every perspective. I know religious men and women who will lay down, have unprotected sex, not married, right? They out here just like everyone else, but they're Christian. And a male will impregnate a woman, and, oh, I'm pregnant. Okay, I got to take care of it. That's what the good word says. And then women say, oh, no, I'm a Christian. I'm going to have my child. I can't financially support it. I'm going to figure out the way, but hey, I'm going to have this child. Wow. Because the Bible told you to have a baby, you're going to have it, and you're not even financially sounded. You don't know the dad. You had a one-night stand. He was actually out of town. Y'all never exchanged numbers, right? Or y'all exchanged numbers, he just deleted it because he was out of town having a good time. So I'm just like, now you're with that child. So that's what I'm saying. You can tackle this in many different angles, right? You can tackle this in many different angles because everybody's going to have a different stance. I'm just stating that for me, giving women the choice versus them not having it, right? And you already have the legislations in place. Then someone's going to bring up, it's against the rules and laws of the land. People come up with all types of stuff why you shouldn't have abortions, but then people come up with other reasons, and it's mostly financial, of why you should have an abortion. Now, I know I did some segments on Marcel Dixon, and this is what I'm talking about, family. I still support Marcel Dixon. I still believe he's great for the Black community. And this is what I've been telling you this for years. Just because you don't agree with 1 or 2 things somebody says shouldn't have you disagree with them totally, because that makes no sense at all. So here's his stance on abortion. He says, white liberals, our so-called allies, love nothing more than for Black people to kill their babies. Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and James Baldwin, all one is about them. Okay? So basically, he's pro-life. And when we did the interview, he spoke briefly about it, but he spoke why it's important that we don't have abortion clinics in the Black community and that he is pro-life. And here's the thing, I respect the brother's response. And this is what I'm referring to in the Black community, that I still support him. I donated some money to him again just last week, and I will continue to support that brother so he can take Jim Crow Clyburn's seat and do better for South Carolina in the 6th district, but mainly for his state, right? And he's a reparationist, right? So we have to get one in to have the ball start going. There's another lady, I forgot her name, if you guys know her name. She's a reparationist as well. They're kind of mirroring each other. But I'm not going to agree on everything Marcel has to say, but that's not going to stop me from supporting him. But that stops you from supporting people. And time again, I always let you know that your vote, right? Your vote, your voice is important to you and your family. You and your family, nobody else. But we have everybody to influence us, to change our minds, other than what we really want. Because they have a convincing argument doesn't make it good for you. That's all I'm saying. Somebody would have asked me, do you support abortion? No. I don't support abortion. I support pro-choice. Somebody would say that's a very passive-aggressive way of saying that you support abortion. Then if that's what you believe, so be it. You see, you don't got to argue with nobody about your choice. I'm just pro-choice. I'm not pro-abortion. I'm pro-choice. Because there may be some examples of where I just believe that abortion is not needed. But that's me. That's my own personal choice. But these are the things that we're talking about, because a lot of us may not even understand the very basic ruling of Roe versus Wade. It states here that Roe versus Wade was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. It gives them the right to choose. It gives them the right to choose. So that's my thing to you. I want you to think of something that you keep near and dear to your heart. And, like freedom. Like freedom, like 1865, like free from slavery. That what if you never had the choice? Meaning, like your ancestors, they were actually born into slavery. They didn't have a choice. Could this be modern day psychological slavery on women? Or is this heinous, evil acts of killing innocent children by the way of fetuses and being aborted? Because I'm about to make a statement here, family, that I'm not comfortable with saying, but I'm going to say it. Growing up in Southeast DC, let me tell you something. The environment that we were living in and some of the heinous things that were going on, some people should have been aborted. Some of us should have been aborted. I hate to say it, but I know some people are going to be like, no, man, a lot of us came from pain, came from strife, came from agony, came from broken down homes, and look at us now. We're doing 10 times better than we did. I'm not saying all of us, but I also want you to look at some of the dusty dudes in your neighborhood. Then you got to look at their dusty moms. You got to look at their dusty fathers. And then you have to just really keep going back, but at the same time, you understand why they're dusty. You understand why they're ratchet, because their parents were. And they never really had the resources to take care of that child. This is a big topic. This is a big topic, even for men, ladies. Ladies, this is a big topic for men as well. Because there's a lot of men like women. They want to have their child. There's a lot of men like women. They don't. They're not ready. Or they just don't want to have it. Because some people only want the benefits of sex, not the outcome. Listen, some people want the benefit of sex without the outcome. Because sex has one purpose and one purpose only. According to the scripture, it's procreation. They say that sex is for procreation. But I can tell you one thing, a lot of us are finding a lot of pleasure in sex without having kids, are we not? I'm just stating the fact here, family. You can prove me wrong or prove me right. It doesn't really matter to me. Okay? So I'm looking at all these topics here. Supreme Court has voted to overturn abortion rights draft option shows. Right under that, we have the Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe versus Wade. So just to update you guys, currently this law is still intact. Abortion is still legal, right? As of today, abortion is still legal as of today, but this may change. How you doing, Jacqueline? Nice to see you, sister. And this is a big topic for everyone. I just believe that, hey, once again, everybody's going to disagree on this, but I think the right thing in this so-called free country that we have is that the right thing to do is give them the choice. I don't know. Maybe I came from a very destructive childhood, projects hood. We gunshots every night. The typical story that you guys already know, right? But again, I don't agree with everything that's going on here, but at the same time, I believe that women, they have the right to choose, especially if it's one of the confounds of the scientific limitations of when you should get an abortion, then I think you're rightfully so within your rights, and that they should keep that in place. Because as I stated before, men and women have been supporting abortion for a very long time, right? We talked about some of the things, right, family? The day after pill. So if that sperm fertilized that egg, I don't know how long it takes to penetrate this, that, and the other, but there's a reason why they take the day after pill. Is to neutralize that sperm, is to kill off that egg if it was about to spawn to life. So there's all these things that are occurring. The depot shot, right? And I keep forgetting, they call it baby something you take every month. I couldn't name it earlier, but those pills, that's why they take them every month in the first place. Jacqueline says a woman has her right to keep a child or to abort the birth. Dictatorship mess. And see, that was one of the things they were talking about in reference to Trump. They were trying to say that Trump was trying to start a dictatorship. And I say, really, it doesn't matter if you're under the Democratic Socialist Party or, right? Because if you ever read works by Karl Marx, and a lot of people don't really agree with him that much, but I will tell you this. Some of his hypotheses came true, right? Because if liberals, quote unquote, Democrats, quote unquote, socialists are in charge, then you will understand that a social society will eventually turn into dictatorship. And then if you look at GOP, quote unquote, the conservatives, quote unquote, Republicans, then you already understand that they are dictatorship, right? That's going to help your business. A dictatorship that are good with business. But either way, family, that's why you shouldn't play these political games. These are political politics that have you pick one side or another, where they're just different wings of the same white supremacy bird. It doesn't really matter. Red pill for meal. So when we look at these topics, my just plain thing is that a lot of us, excuse me, I just recovered from yesterday. A lot of us are essentially giving our views, we're giving our power to the political party that we are affiliated with versus you choosing for yourself. That's all. And when I really look at the Democratic sort of their laws and proposed bills, I don't agree with a third of that bull crap. And I'm just telling you, because they feel as though a lot of black people are turning Republican. Not a Republican, not a Democrat, not an independent. I'm just black, right? But believe it or not, family, if you go and read some of the things that the conservatives stand for, you'll be like this. Me too. Because a lot of us don't understand. Before 1971, excuse me, I don't think it was 1971. What was it? Lyndon B. Johnson. That's what it was. Lyndon B. Johnson. Before Lyndon B. Johnson, did you know that black people primarily were Republicans? But Lyndon B. Johnson, being a Democratic president at the time when Martin Luther King, when he going to speak about him about civil rights, he said they would pass it. Black Americans at the time became Democrats overnight. And ever since then, we have been Democrats. Traditionally, not saying that we all are now, but traditionally, we have been. So everything the Democrats say, that's what we do. Because time and time again, we've been told this, right? We continue to vote and we receive nothing. Of course, if you looked at some of my videos before, family, you see how I point out all the things that Democrats are doing for other people. But then they'll tell us, oh, well, you guys have been the most faithful. You've done the most hard work. You're our grassroots. Black people, thank you so much. The only thing we get is vocal, empty promises, right? We get word talk. We get over talk. We get undertone. We just get sidetracked. Like they never say what they going to do. They, oh, well, we can look into that. And we can probably work on that. And I believe there's some things we can do, but they never tell you what they're going to do, right? And their trial record shows you that voting for Democrat, and I'm not telling you to vote for anything else, by the way. Let's just keep that clear. I'm not saying you got to vote for one or the other. Don't let them scapegoat you into this new term. Oh, if you don't vote, you're disrespecting your ancestors. They died for you to vote. No, they didn't. Your ancestors did not die for you to vote. They died for you to have the choice to vote, right? That is your freedom. Because now they see that black people are no longer supporting the Democratic Party and some of the stuff they stand for. They were talking about putting in a rule that takes away your right that you must vote. And that's what I believe Jacqueline was talking about, dictatorship. They're now thinking about implementing laws that will make people go out and vote, meaning that you don't have a choice. You must vote. That's just one step closer of you must vote for this person, right? Because if I must vote, the next step is you're going to tell me who I'm going to vote for, just like some of these third world countries with all the corruption there as well. And don't get me wrong, third world countries, I'm not speaking down to you, because America probably has more corruption than your country. I'm just giving one of those correlations in it. I believe that there's some of the things we really don't deep down on a very subterranean level. That's all. And here's another factor right here, family, we haven't really thought about. This whole pandemic that was happening since 2020, and my wife made a really great comment earlier. I can't really repeat what she said. It was so intelligent. But basically she was saying the year 2020, when everything became clear, like 2020 vision, everything became clear to a lot of black people what the hell's going on, because we had time to sit and not work and really reflect of what we have not been doing with our freaking lives. And what were some of the roadblocks and barriers and things that were preventing us from moving forward? It took us to 2020 during a damn pandemic to wake the hell up. And that's when, the woke culture, they try to demonize the woke culture. Who tried to demonize the woke culture? Both Republicans and Democrats. It was on CNN and Fox News. They were telling black people, they were using the term woke as an analogy for black people, okay, as a substitute word for black people, demonizing woke culture, saying that it was stupid, dumb, and illiterate, basically telling us that's what we are, because we are now awaking from our slumber, we're awaking from our sleep, of voting for political parties and doing things within these political sort of houses that does not benefit us. And then once again, it doesn't matter if we vote for a black man, it doesn't matter if we vote for a white man, we still receive nothing. And then you say, oh, well, I work hard, I got these things. But no, family, what is this government doing for other people that they're not doing for you and have not been doing for your people? But they continue to pat you on the back and take you along for the ride and give your ass a fist sandwich. But when it's time to hand out checks, you go away the way you came with absolutely nothing. But you keep voting Democrat. You keep thinking, oh, well, I'm going to be different. I'm going to vote Republican. If you don't have a business as a black person, I really don't see the benefit of voting Republican either. I really don't. If all these groups can get support in legislation, when people say support, family, when people say resources, they're talking about money. They're talking about money in some form or fashion. That's what they're talking about. But we have not received any of that. The one thing they continue to trick Black America on is symbolism. Symbolism, symbolism, symbolism. We're going to put more Black women in political positions than any other administration. Symbolism. How does that help Black people? How does that help Black people? That's what I want to know. That doesn't help us in any form or fashion of putting people in a position. That's just like this. Do you guys know the CEO of Wells Fargo, Ninth Branch? Do you know that he makes over $250,000? Did you know that? Me either. I didn't know that. I just made that shit up. That's what I mean. It means nothing to us. We don't know about a particular person. The only difference is that Black guy working at that Wells Fargo branch making over $250,000 is just fictitious as Black men and women in politics representing Black America, but does nothing, no tangibles, nothing realistic, nothing pragmatic that we can actually build off of. I just don't get that, right? I don't get that. The stupidity in that. You got LGBT being supported. You have anti-hate laws for Asian Americans being supported, and money comes with that. And I don't even want to go to the big kicker, which is Native Americans, which they deserve everything they're getting, but we are not, right? Sarah says here, as a psychological demon commands, it's all rights are birthrights. A baby girl only gets her abortion rights after her birth. Wow. Well, thank you, sister. I appreciate that. She said that I preach victimology and no facts. Hey, Jermaine, if you're still in here, I would love to have this sister or psychotic victimizer to come join me. So what I'm gonna do is, if you wanna come on into the room here, I'll stop sharing my screen. And I'm gonna send an invite to the chat for Tara if you wanna come on and speak the facts as you know it. So there you go. The link is in the chat. You can click that link You can either join with or without your video. And please, at all means, tell me that I'm speaking victimology and not facts. And we can have the discussion right here, right now. I don't got shit to do. I got the time today. I don't have nothing to do. My wife is off work now, so she's probably getting dinner together. Finished a cigar, so the link is in the chat, Tarek, because I'm speaking victimology, right? No facts. I will want you to give me the facts so I can be educated. Believe me, I'm not above approach. So the link is in the chat. I'm gonna wait for that person to sign, but I'm gonna continue on. Another thing we should be looking at is overpopulation, right? And this is where I was going at before, overpopulation. We're looking at 2020 when the pandemic first happened, and there was a lot of conspiracy theories about certain rich and powerful men supporting the clinics in certain countries to create the virus itself. That it was all dealing with overpopulation. It says, when we use the term overpopulation, we specifically mean a situation in which the Earth cannot regenerate the resources used by the world's population each year. That's what that's saying, family. That the Earth will eventually die. That it will stop regenerating because there's too many people. So when we look at those things and we quote unquote referencing abortion, is it possible that people want the world to end? I know I'm putting on my 10-4 poopy hat. What's going on, Ricky Manna? That's my brother right there. Make sure you go over to the Ricky Manna channel, support that brother, subscribe to his channel, help him to grow. But yeah, Ricky, what you doing, man? You can take that link in the chat there, man. We can chop it up. I'm talking about abortion right now. I know you've been a conservative. You might have a different insight on that. So, Ricky, if you want to join me, brother, go ahead and hit that link in the chat, and you can join with or without your video. We can have that discussion as well. I'm gonna put that link back in the chat one more time. You can come on out, Ricky, if you got a couple of minutes. Oh, he's at work right now. Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep pushing. But just to kind of cover this abortion thing in its totality, when we're looking at the full spectrum of abortion, again, this kind of an overview. Abortion has been happening for a very long time, right? And I'm not talking about medieval terms where, no, that was the 70s, the 60s, I believe it was the 50s, 60s, the 70s, and early part 80s, they were using coat hangers, kill babies. They've been doing that for a very long time. They have always been sticking something up in the woman's vaginal passage to kill the child off for various reasons, right? Again, we can talk about rape, we can talk about infidelity, we can talk about all these things why people want to abort the child. Because in some instances, the child is evidence, and they're trying to get rid of the evidence. You ever thought about it like that? Has anyone ever thought about it like that? If a woman is stepping outside her marriage, or a man, and that woman becomes pregnant, but they don't want nobody to know, they only have two choices. Either abort the baby, right? Or hide the baby. This has always been the case. Especially if you read a lot of these stories from medieval Europe, they talk about how the king or those people in power will have babies and give the babies away to go hide at a monastery where a bunch of nuns at. You guys seen all those medieval England and France and all those sort of shows. I know I have. They're quite entertaining. And it shows you how ratchet Europeans are compared to Americans. We all ratchet in some sort of way. But with contraceptives, with the day after pill, with depot shots, all of these are ways that we have been committing abortion, right? Because everyone has their own definition of when a baby becomes a baby, right? We have our scientific measure of, I think it's anywhere from 6 to 9 weeks, or 6 to 8 weeks, that a fetus is actually formed. And sometime after that, an embryo, which is people consider like a whole life form. But at the fetus stage, because I think it's 6 weeks, you have to abort the baby for most state laws. And if it's not, you have to have the baby to be born, or you actually committed murder of some sorts, right? But all of these day after pills and contraceptives and shots that women take, all of that is a form of abortion. I know we just word it differently. But something is being killed. Something is being destroyed. Something is dying. And that's the reason why you can't have the baby. Jacqueline said, I believe it's her choice and her God. Jacqueline, I agree with you 100%. And one of these days I'm going to bring up one of my religious topics again. I know that people really enjoy the religious topics, and my mind stayed on it. I look at it very, very differently. But we're going to switch gears here, family. I wanted to cover these two topics. I didn't want to stay on abortion too long. But I want us to look at the current real estate market, right? So the first thing I want to point out here is that when we're talking about real estate, most people go out and get a real estate agent, right? Most people, not all people. There's some rich people who are like, I want that house. They're going to knock on the door, they buy the house. So with that being said, you have these real estate agents that go out, they make 6% of the commission of the total house amount. And out of that commission, they probably only receive around 3, because another 3 goes to the brokerage or company that's essentially supporting them. Right, so they don't get the full amount in the first place. Then you have the amount of money that is going to cost you to essentially, buy that home. Because as I'm looking at the different APRs around America, the one standard number that I keep coming to is 5%. How much is it going to take you? How much money that you'll have to borrow in order to buy your home, to buy your first home, second, third, fourth home, right? And there's a lot of propaganda in the real estate market right now, family. And my best advice to you would be to stay your ass at home. Stay in your current house. Do not move. Unless you're moving out the country somewhere. Then by all means, either lease that home out, which should be choice one, or if you just don't want any ties to America or any issue you have to worry about while you are living abroad, then you should sell it. But at one point in time, and even in my neighborhood, they had where as though real estate agents were coming around knocking on people's doors last year, asking them do they want to buy their homes and then they can get top dollar on their homes. A lot of these people in my neighborhood, let me tell you, I bought my home at $390,000. My home is worth $670,000. I'm getting letters from every loan mortgage company saying, hey, do you want to do a cash out refi? We can give you $150,000. I don't want to get into the whole real estate thing, because then your amount of your mortgage goes up and then you're refinancing to a high interest rate, because the interest rate currently right now, family, is around 5%, right? I think, and it depends on what type of mortgage you're getting. You're getting a refinance mortgage, you get the first mortgage, right? You get the HELOC, which is a loan. But the point I'm making here is that it really depends. But the current amount, I just checked today for the state of Texas. The state of Texas, family, is 6.2. It just went up today for the entire nation. Now, what I'm showing you here, let me blow this up. What I'm showing you here is a loan amount for $300,000, right? And they're factoring that you put down your 20% of that home, which is called your PMI, your primary mortgage insurance. So you can avoid that particular insurance, because if not, then you have to pay that as well. And that your credit score is anywhere between $700 to 720. Excuse me, your credit score is even between 700 and 720. Most people go with a 30-year fix because the payments are a little bit lower than your 15-year fix. But you see the benefits. And what I learned in finance is the longer the loan, the higher the risk for the financial institution that's giving you the money. The shorter the loan, the less riskier it is. So you get a bigger incentive, meaning you get a lesser percentage amount for your loan. When I got my home and the interest rate were at 2.25 because I got a 30-year fix. And then a buddy of mine said, yeah, man, he said, what's your interest rate? I said, mine is 2.25. He said, oh man, that's high. I said, no, that's like the literal lowest rate because I have damn near a grade 8 credit score that you could possibly get. He said, no, man, my credit score is like 1.25%. I said 1%. He was like, yeah, primarily 1%. I said, well, how did you get that interest rate? He said, because I did a 15-year fixed mortgage. Oh, and then you can tell right here, for a 30-year fix, you got 6.75%, and then at a 15-year fix, it's literally a percent and 75%, 1.75% less, give or take a couple of point percents, that is. So lower the risk, better the incentive, but better the payment. But now, family, a 15-year fix is 5%, almost 5.1%. And a 30-year fix is 6.7% on a loan. And this is if you have good credit. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pop up another screen here. I wanna know the average credit score of Black Americans. That's what I wanna know. We're a particular group, and I'd rather not talk about everybody in this particular thing. Okay. So they saying right now that the average, no. That's Asian Americans. The Asian Americans have an average of 745 rates, while Black Americans have 677. We have the lowest, right? We already know why we have the lowest. We're the ones who are the ones primarily in lower poverty. So it kind of goes hand in hand, right? It's a partnership. Because if you wasn't impoverished, living in shanty towns and ghettos and projects like I grew up in, then you would have the money to live somewhere nicer, right? You would have the credit. So that makes sense. I'm just saying. That's a very brief surface sort of statement I made. So I'm going to decrease this down to 677. I want you guys to look at how the 30-year fixed is 6.75, and the current credit score of Black Americans is 677. And I want you to look at these numbers, how they increase or decrease. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're going to increase, right? Higher the percentage, the more money you essentially pay. So I'm going to 677. And so now the 15-year fix went to 0.085, which is only 0.2% more than that. But this one jumped up to 6.71. So now what this tells you is this is a great indicator that the market is about to pop. It is. I can't tell you when. I'm not Nostradamus, but it's about to pop. Let's give it 8 months. It's going to pop. Because anytime you have someone with a 720 credit score and they're getting rates at 6% for a mortgage, these are indicators that either the market is about to pop or the U.S. in whole is going to have a recession of sort. And I already said in one of my videos, are we in a recession? And my belief is we're already in a mini recession, because it doesn't matter how good your credit score is or how good you've been paying off the bills or how good all of these things. Anytime someone in the 720 credit score and someone having a 677 credit score are within point percentages, not full percentages, but a point percentage in between each other, that's a great indicator that the market is about to pop, or as I stated before, we are in a mini recession. Jacqueline says, I had a credit score of 742 up until this year, experienced that is now at 500s. Well, you definitely need an explanation for that, sister. You need to write Experian. They do have an electronic service. You can go on their website, make an account, and inquire about why your credit score is 500. More times than not, if you have a bank, they could possibly request a credit report for you. You can also do it through Experian, but I think there is a small cost of you receiving your credit report. But if you have been denied credit in the last 30 days, they're supposed to send you a letter as well. So there's many ways first to get your credit report and see what you don't recognize. But I can tell you, when it comes to real estate, it don't have nothing to do with it at this point, as I'm just looking at the national averages regardless of the credit score. Because now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this 780. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiers of these ranges of credit scores, right? So I'm going to 780. I want to see the 30-year fix at a 6.75. The same was it for 720, and the same if it was for 677. If it goes down because of a better credit score, as it should, okay, that's reasonable. So you got to have a significantly higher credit score in order to get some of the nation lows when it comes to us being in a high market right now. This was 6.75. This almost dropped 2%. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry. No, that's right. It only dropped 1%. My apologies. It only dropped 1%. But that's still more than the ranges between 720 and 677. Okay? And once again, we're looking at the 15-year fix. I'm gonna drop back down to 677, says 5.08. And that is at 5.085. Which is not a huge difference. Okay? Which is not a huge difference. Because again, even though someone with a very low credit score gets into a 15-year fix, the risk of the business is still decreased because it's a shorter long term, but you will still get some of the highest rate within that 15-year fixed national average. So when we talk about real estate, when we talk about all of these other topics here, family, there's other things that are being affected by the economy. A lot of people like to blame the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, democratic laws, the Green New Deal, the environment. But the point is, we're talking about all these things, but unless essentially the government does anything about it, it won't change. Excuse me. It won't change. It won't change at all. Let me address this sister real quick, and then we're going to move on. Jacqueline says, I paid off $35,000 in all my debts in 2005. I wish I was doing my YouTube channel then, because I have letters to help people remove things off their credit report absolutely free. The letters are absolutely free. So you could have just saved that $35,000 or paid it to me. Either way. She says, and after a while, $200,000 in CDs, I tried getting back a loan for $40,000 with a credit score of 7.2 and was denied. Well, let me say this to you. Just understanding this fiat system that we operate in, we can't correlate you having a good credit score to you getting a loan. And I'm gonna try to clear this up a little bit. Just because you have a great credit score does not mean you will get a loan. Take, for instance, I'm a drug dealer. I don't have any record of me ever working, and I have a credit score of 780. So when those loan officers sit me down, they say, well, Mr. Ross, where's your income coming from? Oh, I inherited the money. Okay, can we see papers of your inheritance so we can understand your financial backing? We understand, your assets. So if you don't pay us this money, we can get our money. That's what it's about. It's about money. They want to know that they can get their money back. So they need proof that you earn a substantial amount of money, whatever in the algorithm of how that bank does business, to show that you can pay that amount off. So like, take for instance me, I have a 780 credit score. I'm thinking I can just go into Ferrari and buy a car. Ferrari said, oh, we see you have a great credit score, and so we're going to hook you up with one of our loan officers. Or do you have a bank where you want to get your loan? I'm like, yeah. And so they hit up the bank, they hit up the loan officer, they start coming through your financials, say, well, Mr. Ross, we only see that you deposit $500 in your checking account. Are there any other checking account or savings accounts or stocks or bonds that you have that we can see that if you can't pay this, that you could possibly cover it with some sort of assets, cash out your assets and pay us our damn money? That's what they basically say in a very professional way. But if you can't show that, like you were saying, you wanted, you wanted a bank loan for $40,000. So they factor in your credit score and they factor in your debt to income ratio. There's a certain percentage, I forgot what it was, 33, 34% of the amount of money you're supposed to have freed in order to live your daily life. They actually factor in how much you're supposed to be spending on yourself, right? Daily living. I don't know the correct terminology, but it's like daily living. Like, okay, well, we see that you can afford it, but that only leaves you $300 a month left. How you gonna pay for food and gas and medical bills, 401k? They factor all these things in because at the end of the day, they want their damn money. So this is why they need to know your debt to income ratio. They need to know your credit score. They need to know the source of income. Because at the end of the day, they're doing you a favor. You're not doing them a favor. They're doing you a favor. They have angel investors, secret investors. They give banks and other loan institutions money, and those guys want to make a percent off the money that you'll be paying to them, and so does the financial institution. Because a lot of times these, banks started up as families. They just kind of group their money in together. They start loaning to local people with interest, and they start to build more money. They keep extenuating. Next thing you know, they go state to state. Now they're national. Now they're billion-dollar banks. But in order for them to grow as big as they did, they had to make a percent of the money that you'll be paying them. Plus, they had to know that this was a safe investment. Now, there's no 100% safe investment. The only 1% safe investment is death. You will die. But the only point I'm making here is they want a high percentage predicted amount that you will be paying them back their money. And if you loan $40,000 and they comb through your finance like, nope, this is high risk, we're not going to do it. That's probably why you got denied. And then the second thing is, don't forget you're Black. So. Well, thank you, sister. I appreciate that. She says, I have a $1,000 hospital bill. Ross, I respect you, but I understand the sister and I have owned 2 parcels and extortion forged and sold after the husband died. Okay. Touche. I totally understand. Now, another small indicator of the economy about to pop are gas prices, right? So let me show you this right here. So we're looking at the gas prices at AAA.com, and we're looking at the current national averages. I'm gonna go back up to the map in a minute here, but we're looking at the national average. We see here the date. It's March 11th. So excuse me, May, yes, March 22nd. Huh? This is May. So this is about 2 months old, right? But as we're looking at this, we're looking at where some of the highest gas prices are. California, I'm pretty sure California is probably at $6, $7 already. How the Midwest, the West Coast has the highest gas prices with, I think this is Michigan. They have one of the Midwest's highest gas prices. And in this area where the so-called South is, you got Texas and Mississippi, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and then Florida is kind of weird, but all of these are very low gas prices, right? Especially in Texas because we have all these oil fields, but it's still high in Texas. It's $4 a gallon. And I know some of you like $4 a gallon. Hey, cost of living is different in every state. So these are some of the things that we're looking at. So this is a small indicator of how the economy has been operating really since the pandemic hit. A lot of this, believe it or not, really started to snowball during the pandemic. So I don't want nobody to blame the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. This economy has already been doing this since everybody just stopped working. And then the government started to pump out money in PPP loans and support to kind of save the economy. And now the economy is $30 trillion in debt. The national inflation percentage is 8.5%. The national mortgage rates went up more than 1.5%. They're up around 6% now. So you have all these tall indicators of the economy. Is doing absolutely bad. And don't forget, if you guys are not familiar with the inflation, is also known as CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And it's important you know the current state of your economy because it really starts to dictate to you how much is your dollar. Where should you spend it? Should you spend it? Airline tickets are up. Food prices are up. So all of these are indicators of you being in a recession of some sort. But they haven't yet to call it. And that's an organization called NBER. The National Bureau of Emergency Response. They're the ones who typically calls out and say, hey, we're in a recession. And the government and the different municipalities that be will publicly come out and say that the country's in a recession. But family, as I've been stating for quite some time, we've been in a recession for about a year already. A mini recession. It is what it is. Some people are like, don't say that. It is what it is. We've been in one. At one point, we had very high rates of unemployment. Right? That really started when people could not go to work, could not pay bills. And then you had the eviction moratoriums where you can stay in your home, you can stay in your house, you can stay in your apartment for free because of the pandemic, which rightfully so, I totally understand. But this was a snowball effect of it. And then certain markets around the world started to bloom, started to explode. Like the real estate market, like the construction market. So how are you going to tell me that people are getting more home improvements in their home than ever before? One. Two, material prices going up, but people are paying for it. Three. I mean, when you add these things up, it doesn't make any sense. To those people who don't understand the economy and politics. Very important that you guys know this. And last but not least, what I realized is that people do not understand that America is a monetary sovereign. I don't know if you guys knew that. And basically, I'm going to sum this up, but I'm going to read it too. Basically, A monetary sovereign just can print money as much as they want and never run out of it, and it still be worth whatever it's worth throughout the entire world. That's what it really means. Certain price differences, or rather certain percentage differences, will occur. Like in one country, one day the dollar is worth 50 pesos, the next month is worth 46 pesos, but for the most part, it's going to stay in a 20 to 10% swing of what it's worth for that country. It really won't change that much. That's a monetary sovereign. They control their own currency. They control their own wealth. They control their own value. And the thing about it is, because you have to ask yourself, yeah, America has the largest GDP, the largest gross domestic product, but we're also the country that's most in debt. But we have all this money to give. Think about that. I want you to think about that. Can you guys make sense of this? Listen to this. So you have, this sounds like a lot of people I grew up with, unfortunately. You have more debt than the amount of money that you have coming in. Say what? Make that make sense. You have more debt than the amount of money you come in when you exclude your home and when you exclude your car. Excuse me again. I was coming over something yesterday. I had like a 24-hour cold or something. So excuse me. But think about that. And that's where the state of America is. But none of that counts for this particular government because America is a monetary sovereign. And that's all in conjunction with the economy, the GDP, and then people make money off the dollar rising and falling when you do Forex trading. But nonetheless, the dollar has been steady. Here's another thing. The dollar is the most invested currency in the world because it's the most steady. It doesn't fluctuate that much. Why do you think is that America just can give out billions of dollars and trillions of dollars? We're $30 trillion in debt, but the value of the dollar does not go down around the world. It only affects us here in America. Inflation is up, this is up, but we're still giving out billions of dollars, $370 billion to Ukraine. I did a video on the African countries we're giving support to, billions of dollars. How can we give out billions of dollars to all these people and all these groups, and our dollar keeps the same value and same worth? It's because we are monetary sovereign. Monetary sovereignty is the power of the state to exercise exclusive legal control over its currency. Broadly defined by exercising the following powers: legal tender, the exclusive authority to designate the legal tender forms of payment, meaning that we have total control of our money. And what states, and when they say states here, family, they're talking about countries. That's another word for countries when people use the word state very broadly. Here are the countries. Let's see what they have. These are countries. I thought I had the countries up here. What countries are monetary sovereign? Let me check. What countries are monetary sovereign? They did put monetary sovereign on here. Let's look at this one. It says current nations are the United States of America and Japan, but it's more than that. It says which have autonomous central bankings, exercise money sovereignty on the other hand, and European Union nations within the Eurozone have ceded much of their monetary sovereignty to the European Central Bank. So yeah, so countries in Europe and Japan and probably Korea as well. Let me see. I looked this up earlier. Here we go. Family. I know I looked this up. Bear with me. Here we go. So it says here, monetary sovereign governments, the U.S., The UK, that's United Kingdom. That's a plethora of different European countries. Japan, Canada, Australia, Euro countries. They're all sovereign countries. You know what country I noticed you know what countries that they did not name? Any country where the majority of the people are melanated. You don't find that strange that all the European countries, because I mean, America's just a European colony, but that's neither here nor there, can be monetary sovereigns. They can just, yeah, we can just print money and it stays the same amount. How can they do that? Why can't African countries be monetary sovereigns? Where they dictate to the world what their money is worth. Like, you know, hey, you go over to Ghana, $1 American is 6 of their dollars. Well, Ghana say, well, one Ghana CD is $4 American. Why can't they do the same thing? Because when you really think about it, what is your paper dollar is backed by? That's the difference. That's the difference, family. African countries' dollar are backed by their resources versus European countries like America. They're backed by fiat. They're backed by debt. They're backed by credit. So what's a resource? Land, water resources, precious jewels, precious gems, precious metals like gold and silver, platinum and palladium, water, food, agriculture, right? These are all resources. These are all things that you can hold in your hand. These are not fictitious in any nature. These are pragmatic. These are realistic. These are all the things that you can touch, hold, and feel. You can touch resources. And that's what your currency is backed by, right? From a world perspective, but not European countries. And one of the colonies being America, they back it by fiat. And what's fiat? It's credit, it's debt. Oh, I owe you. That's what it basically boils down to. It boils down to I owe you. When the last time you touched $1 of you getting a bank loan? You ever thought about that? When you say, you call into your bank, and you're like, I'm looking for a loan to buy a home. And they say, okay, Mrs. Johnson, we have pretty much all your financials. There is going to be some additional information we're going to need for you. And we're going to send this right over to our loan originators, our loan officers, and they're going to, square you away, so to speak. You say, okay, not a problem. And then they want for you to provide information about your assets, how much income you have. Do you have a house? Do you have a car? They want to put all these factors in, correct? Then at the end of the day, they want to know, where's the house? How much is the house worth? Because they're making an investment. But you never touch the money. Hopefully that makes some sense. You never touch the money when you're buying a home. Now, you may get a little money kicked back when you sell your home, but initially, you never touch your money. So is the money actually real? I'm not putting on my 10 for a poofy, but I just want to point that out. When you buy a home, you never touch the money because we work on a system of fiat, a system of credit, a system of debt, where African countries actually operate off of resources, tangible things you can hold in your hand that is of value. Because the question you should ask yourself, if you really care about the economy, if you really care about what's about to happen, then you will probably want to think, well, how can we be $30 trillion in debt and still give billions of dollars away to all these other countries and not give U.S. Freedmen, aka Foundation Black Americans, reparations? You see, I slipped that in there, right? But these are some of the questions I just had for myself. I'm reading some of your notes here. Jacqueline says, I had money and assets in that bank. Wow. Okay. So, like I said, at the end of that particular statement I made, I said, don't forget that you're Black. Yeah, I know. Some people who have been blessed all their life, who have, really never have to work hard, even in the Black community, do not like to accept the fact that sometimes we don't get ahead, sometimes we don't get loans, sometimes we don't get better treatment. It's simply because you are Black. You can speak as well as the best of them. You can have the best lexicon. You can speak on a higher vocabulary level. You can go to some of the same schools and best schools, have some of the best training, wear some of the best clothes. But sometimes the roadblocks in America, because of the system of white supremacy, is your skin color. It's your body composition, your African features, your melanation in your skin. Sometimes it's just that, family. And I know a lot of you will say, no, it's about this, no, it's about that. Did you understand the law? And did you? We got all of these things that distract us from the truth sometimes. Sometimes you're just Black. You got a high loan, you had a great credit score, you had the income, your debt to income ratio was low because you were Black, and they realized that you didn't understand that even though the national average for somebody with a 740 credit score, your interest rate should be 3%, they gave you 5% and told you that was a good rate. And you asked your friend who has a bad credit score, you asked them how much their interest rate, and they said 5%. He said, oh, okay. But you didn't know they had a bad credit score. That makes sense? What was your interest rate? 5%? Oh, yeah, that was 5% too. Okay, got a good deal. No, you didn't. Their credit score is 500. Yours is 742. You should have got 3%. So sometimes, the point I'm making here is, sometimes just because you're Black. She said, Google Pay is not working. I want to join. I have no idea what that means, sister. I think she wants to join the conversation. If you want to join the conversation, what I'll do is I'll put an invite in the chat. You can click the link and you can join with or without your video. I have just a couple more minutes here, so if you do want to join, don't be too long because I don't want to cut you off. Okay. So I had the link in the chat, Jacqueline. If you had some information to share with the topic at hand, I'll give you a couple of minutes there. And if not, we're going to end this broadcast. We covered a lot of things here today, family. We covered abortion. We covered the real estate market, inflation. We covered, some of these small indicators of a recession. And I'm not going to go back to my word. I believe we are in a recession. We've been in a recession for about a year. Okay. But yeah, I'm trying to see if this sister's going to come on here. If not, I'm going to see you guys on the next one. If you have any questions, please leave them in the chat. But as I look at these, as I look at some of these interest rates, oh, she was talking about a credit card. She wanted to donate some money or whatever. I appreciate that, sister. And like I said before, family, this is why I put this out. Don't forget that regardless of your excuses, there's still many different ways for you to be successful in this economy. I'm not trying to deter anyone from be on their grind, because that's exactly what you should be doing. And nothing to essentially discourage you, okay? I got my Cash App in the chat if anybody who wants to donate. I usually don't put that up there, but nonetheless. I see we got the sister in the room. What's going on, sister? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. I wanted to give a donation. I tried to
No
join.
problem. I put the cash app in the chat. Not a problem.
Okay. That's
All
all
right.
I wanted to say, Ross.
Not a problem, sister. You have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Beautiful sister right there. Wanted to donate to the channel. I do appreciate that. Believe me, all of my donations go to this funky and slow internet I got. Thank you, AT&T. I appreciate it. But there you have it, family. Sorry I couldn't come on early this morning and give you some stock tips because I've been a little bit under the weather, but I'm getting over it. I just kind of had one of those 24-hour bugs, and now it's just lingering a little bit here. But I'm drinking my elderberry. My wife made me some elderberry juice. She gave me all ginger tea. She gave me all types of stuff. So I'm feeling a lot better. But nonetheless, you guys have a great and wonderful day. We know it's hump day. So we only got 2 days left within this week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. And I know there's a lot of things that's going on politically. I know there's a lot of things going on financially. But always remember this one thing. Vote within your best interest, right? Vote within your best interest. And I'm gonna tell you, my best interest is reparations for foundational Black Americans, right? Give us what we owe. We see the American government give everybody money except for their voting base, who's been demanding and informing them of the debt that is paid to U.S. freedmen, aka foundational Black Americans. So that's what you should do. That's where you should vote. And that is where your loyalty lies. I would like to thank everybody for joining the broadcast today. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. I'm out.